All right, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the program. It's Good Afternoon, Ghana, and we're back to discuss matters of the nation. This time it has to do with you and your safety. So we are focusing on what we call road safety and also your personal security. Some issues have come up really in the country where we've had, some shootings of maybe I'll say state officials. Yes, I'll say state officials. And that is really all because of our own, disputes within our communities. And then we mistaken people, to be our enemies just because we are fighting with a group of people. And that has to do with the people of Boko, So recently we've had issues of the immigration officers being shot dead. I had that message sent to me last week. I think end of last year, over the weekend, that some 2 immigration officers had been shot dead because one of the factions perceived these persons to be their opponents and therefore an enemy to their tribe. And so this is what we are faced with as a country. The security agencies are dealing with it. The government itself is dealing with it. But we'll give you the details of that by speaking to our security analyst. So Adib Sani will join us shortly via Zoom to talk about this issue. And also we would have, we're going into Easter. A lot of you will be taking trips to your hometowns, churches, Easter festivities, activities, revelers and all that. So you'll be on the road, right? I'm not sure if I am very satisfied with the latest stories that Metro TV has been covering as far as accidents are concerned, I'm not sure if I'm very much, satisfied with it. But let's see how the statistics are looking like. As it is, we need to always be looking at the statistics and see if we're doing better or we're doing worse. So Kwame Kodia Etuahene will join us, and he is a director, regulation, inspection, and compliance at the Road Safety Authority, who also joined me here in the studio. Let's take a breather. When we come back, we'll kickstart the discussion. Welcome back to the program. This is Good Afternoon, Ghana. You're watching us live from the Ikea Boahema studio at North Bridge. So let's get, straight into the discussion now. Right now, I'm actually in the studio with Lawyer Etuahene, and he is the Director, Regulation, Inspection, and Compliance of the National Road Safety Authority. Lawyer, welcome. Good afternoon. It's been ages. I haven't seen you in how many years?
Like a few months.
Months?
About a year.
It's been years, not a year. I don't know the last time. I don't remember the last time I saw you anyway. Yeah. Or you spotted me somewhere.
Okay, no, the last time must have been at the other side.
Yes, now.
Yeah.
So it's been years.
Oh, yeah.
It's been about.
Hope you are good.
Yes, I'm good. But you're welcome. You're welcome to the program. So, let's start with the statistics that my producers gave me. I don't know if he's going to project it. So we have a summary of provisional national road traffic crash casualties statistics. This is for February 2023 or 2022 compared, right? Yeah. So it says that the cases reported vehicle involved, persons killed, persons injured, and pedestrian knocked down. So the cases involved in 2023, we have 1,101. As compared to February 2022, is 1,354. So there's a reduction, right, of 18,069. Vehicles involved, or those ones that got crushed, 1,869. In February 2022, it's 2,223, and the difference is 15.92%.
Yeah.
Okay, percentage, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so persons killed, 150. In February 2022, it's 237, and the difference is 36.71%. And then the pedestrians knocked down, we have 185 for February this year. In February 2022, it was 282. And the difference is 4.40%. So there are the graphs and stuff that actually indicates it. I don't know, producer, do you have those ones? You can put on the screen if you do. Okay, I'm not sure if it's just a this year observation of mine, but it looks like when we record the crashes, they're so serious. Where you have maybe motor crashes. I know motor crashes are quite serious. I didn't find motor crashes here.
Yeah, so they will be in there. But to make the general point that when you look at the data from last year, I think for the first time in a while, for almost 13 to 14 months, on a month-to-month basis, we are beginning to record some decline in all the indicators.
Yeah.
So for crashes, injuries, deaths, from January till December, and we are happy that the trend appears to continue for 2023. But yes, when the crashes involve high occupant or high occupancy vehicles, that's why we are almost always at the tail of the public transport service providers. So when a typical VIP or STC or GPRTU vehicle is involved in a crash, because the buses often have passenger strength of between about 16 to 42 or 48, the consequences are a bit disturbing. And so the ones that potentially come to your attention or that gets reported by the media are the ones that involve these high occupancy vehicles. But otherwise, on a daily basis, when you look at the data in totality, pedestrians appear to be very vulnerable in urban areas where they have to cross the road. That's why when the traffic lights are dysfunctional or when the pedestrian walkways have faded, where market people or traders have taken over walkways, it becomes such a major concern for us, because then when you do a sum aggregate of the individuals, young people, the elderly who happen to be knocked down together, it's also a concern. But otherwise, on the passenger proportion, the commercial vehicles, I mean, to the fact we are also beginning to see some decline in their involvement or crashes that come about as a result of their contribution. Rather, private vehicles are going up, and also motorcycle incidents are also on the rise. And often motorcycles may lead to pedestrian knockdowns.
Motorcycles are definitely on the rise.
Second.
Motorcycles are on the rise.
Yes, I mean, it's been on the rise for some time. But again, when you look at the recent trend, we appear to begin to control it to some extent. In Accra in particular, the police have been very helpful. You notice that they introduced a police action against rider indiscipline, where now you find police on bikes at major intersections. And for the first time in a long while, we are beginning to see motor riders stop at traffic lights. And it's such a big improvement, because once they stop, then pedestrians who have the right of way to cross to that side, the other side, are able to access the road without any impediment. But in the past, when these riders were so indisciplined, they were not willing to yield, it exposes these pedestrians to danger, and it impacts on the numbers. So if we could contain and help the police to sustain this police action against rider indiscipline for the longest while, perhaps we could also begin to record some improvement in the motorcycle-related casualties.
With regard to the police visibility at traffic lights and points, is it adding any costs to our expenditure in terms of traffic and road safety activities?
Well, I wouldn't be able to, because it sits within the police operations. But then these are...
Well, this is in collaboration with MTTD, Road Safety Authority. So you must have sat in a meeting, to have discussions that, well, we can do this, but this is going to add some budget to our expenditure as far as
But to the best of my knowledge, they haven't complained as yet, and I want to believe that it is still within their budget. So when the policemen are already employed and they are paid by the state, recent times the state have had to support them with logistics, vehicles and motorbikes, and the IGP and his team appear to be creative to deploy them at these intersections. And their impact is quite positive, because I've had a couple of friends call me that they appear to jump the red light sometimes inadvertently, and these bikes chase them up. Yeah, the police bikes will chase them up. Sometimes they show you a video that, hey, you jumped the red light at this intersection, you don't know will you or otherwise, and they take steps. And people are beginning to take a cue of their presence and now abide by the traffic regulations. And this coming at a time where the police is also thinking of introducing cameras. In fact, some cameras have been deployed, but they plan to intensify it because there's a partnership with some private entity to ensure that the spot fine regime in our laws will begin to see some effect. Once you are picked up by the camera, a ticket is issued, you pay or you challenge, and once people begin to feel the consequences of their act in their pocket, it will go to improve upon our conduct in traffic and also impact on the numbers positively. At the moment, yeah, at the moment.
Standard that we
Yes.
can actually use.
Yeah, so the ones that we have at present, in fact, they've been deployed under the banner of the national security architecture. But what the police, together with the authorities coming up with, these are cameras that are deployed on vehicles. So you have moving vehicles in the city, and they will be picking traffic infractions.
On the spot?
Yes, on the spot. And at the appropriate time, we'll come back to the public to sensitize them on what they need to do in order that they can also pick on these signals. So we want to use the cameras, but it's not our intention to spring surprises on anybody. The public must be fully aware. There are areas where we'll deploy unmanned cameras, and we'll have to inform them that when you're approaching these areas within the city, there will be unmanned cameras that will watch you. So the burden is on you to either respect or disobey our laws. Once you are picked up, you suffer the consequences.
So we'll say that generally the chaos on the road, by the statistics that we're looking at, is improving. Because by the comparison, 2023, 2022, same period, is good. Will you rate it as good?
It is not at a level where we can be comfortable to say that we can go to sleep. But so January to February last year was persons killed were 237. January, February 2023, 150, about 36% reduction. That's quite good, relatively. But 150 deaths means that 150 families have had to suffer the consequence of these crashes. And that's the way we like to look at the impact of road safety. Beyond the numbers that we account for, what this translates, this translates into some level of burden beyond the state, but 150 individual families have had to deal with these losses. And sometimes these are breadwinners. When you go back to query the data, about 70 or so percent are within the productive age brackets.
Right.
70% of them are males. So even though you may take these number on the face as you may trivialize them, if I'm permitted to say that, the impact is something that you cannot really quantify. So our expectation is to be able to get to a stage where we will record at least 50% reduction from the 2020 numbers, and hopefully get to a stage where even if these crashes will occur, we'll not record serious casualties, serious injuries, and also deaths along the way. But once we record these incidents, then we need to figure out a way to intensify our efforts to bring the numbers to a considerably lower level.
So let's talk about the motor riders. I'm not sure. I remember the last time I had a discussion, that's years ago, with this our friend who was at MTTD.
That's your being.
You know, he reminded me that there was law that bars motor riders from using the medians of vehicles. Once in traffic, you all be in the traffic. I'm not sure how Road Safety Authority is implementing that law, because it's almost like they have gotten to the point where they put pressure on you to allow them to pass.
So it's down to the level of discipline and also enforcement of the law. So once we scale up enforcement efforts like the police have begun to do, then subconsciously, these riders will begin to appreciate that, they are unable to do so unpunished. In the ideal, the expectation would have been to design roads that will create, if you like, special lanes for cyclists and to some extent these motor riders. But unfortunately, we are not at the stage yet. The law describes vehicles to include motorcycles.
Yeah.
In that the rules of use of the road, which are applicable to vehicles, must equally be applicable to motor riders. So, on that basis, there's no excuse for them not to comply with the existing regulations. But typical of us, the Ghanaian, fully aware of the law, would do the opposite, knowing very well that his conduct will go unpunished. But once they begin to suffer for their misconduct, there's every expectation that they will do the needful. So that's why the police...
You know what's shocking? Even the police is also involved. In fact, the police is a culprit.
Yes, a few times we've had to meet the police in meetings, and we've brought those matters to their attention. And there are times where they act, except that they do not put out their numbers. At the last meeting we had with the police, I'm not sure if I'm permitted to say this, but there are a number of police officers who have had to be prosecuted and for traffic-related offenses. And the decision then was whether that information should be put out or not. Bottom line is that they don't actually overlook these excesses by their own people. So if the public will be courageous to bring these matters to the attention of the police administration, the hope is that they are willing to act against their own people.
Well, how are we supposed to do that? So for now, we have to cope with that kind of behavior.
You lodge...
Come on, let's be practical. Traffic. There's a motor rider or a police motor rider obviously being disciplined. I will take the picture, get to a police station and report.
You are in a position to.
In today's Ghana, I'm reporting a police officer.
No, you can report to us. Report to the authority has a call center, 193 or all networks. You can report to us, or you can report through the 18345. Once we can have a sense of identity of the said police officer and where the event occurred, yes, we are willing to act. In fact, the police itself, in recent times, are beginning to show that they take matters of their reputation seriously. And so if one of their own appear to enjoy the reputation of the service, they are more than willing to take appropriate steps. So we'll encourage the public to report these incidents to us.
Okay, so in the meantime, the public can take note that motor riders who use the medians can be reported.
It's an offense. So in the long
Because
term,
that's
the
how they
authority,
seem to get themselves involved in a lot of crashes and destroying people's cars.
in fact, in the long term, the authority is looking to get the public involved in a more structured manner. And for starters, we are relying on the call center. But in the foreseeable future, we are looking to develop an application where we allow members of the public bring to attention some of these infractions in a project that we term the Public Eye Enforcement Program, where your phone, I mean, we are talking about cameras, but if you have about 10 million road users with the benefit of phones that have a camera component, we should be able to set up an interface where these infractions will get to attention and have us act on it. In fact, at present, we do that at some minimum level. When we get the videos, when we get the images, and we can trace the registration number, in a sort of collaboration we have with the DVLA and the police, we are able to trace the ownership, extend an invitation to the offending rider or vehicle, and act on it. So we would encourage the public to strike a partnership with us. We are in this business together. Once we can get their support, we'll be able to weed out some of these disciplined riders.
Right. Let's wrap it up with the season. We're going for holidays. We already know the statistics are good, encouraging, but the motor riders, I am so biased against them. They are so irritating to the extent that you're in traffic and they're honking on you to make way. I think a lot of even the drivers don't know that riding in between the medians is wrong.
That's true. So there are a number of things we are doing to try to address that. So one is just working with the police to stem out these bad nuts. But also, we are trying to develop rider ambassadors. The law requires that riding for delivery services is quite lawful, as opposed to those that engage in riding for reward, the quote unquote, the Okada. Yeah, so part of our plan is to identify the structured delivery services and try to work with them to show the bigger populace what it takes to ride in an urban environment, so that when these drivers take to all the best practices and they are properly costumed, they are stopping in traffic at intersections and doing all the good things we expect of a proper rider to engage in. Our own expectation is that the others will take a cue and begin to act accordingly. We'll do so as the police will support with enforcement efforts, and hopefully we'll be able to keep an eye and a certain level of control on the.
And what are the measures this Christmas?
Easter.
Sorry, Easter.
We run an all-year program, but during these festive periods, there's always an increase in motorization to areas where we appear to celebrate the Easter. So we are going to increase our visibility with the police on the Kwawu stretch, Accra to Eastern region. The public will see more of us. We are engaging a lot of churches at major terminals across country. We've profiled about 150 terminals. We intensify our pre-departure inspections with a view to ensure that these vehicles meet minimum safety conditions before they are allowed to leave. At major rest stops, the traveling public are expected to meet our team and would seize the opportunity to ask for their cooperation, because these sort of matters require constant reminder. so that once they depart, there will be someone at the terminals to talk to them and talk to the passengers. At these rest stops will do the same. On major highways, there's a likelihood that you find a police and RSC team to stop, conduct some in-traffic inspection, talk to the commuters, travelers, especially for long-distance travels. And for those that are on routes in excess of 500 kilometers or 8 hours, we want to seize the opportunity again to remind them that the protocol that required that 2 drivers should be deployed will be enforced, together with our advocacy efforts on radio and outreach at major terminals. We hope that we can get the message across and get as many people complying as possible.
My time is up, but quickly, just in 2 minutes, address the issue of this bus company called 2 Express.
2M.
2 what?
2M Express.
2M Express. What's the issue with that company? Have you taken up some of the concerns people have, shared on social media and looking into their way of, riding on the road?
Yes, we have. I mean, we've met.
Because I did an experiment by posting someone's video just to see if I could get, the concerns. And it looks like about an 80% of the persons who commented allude to the fact that is their way of driving on the road.
Yeah, well, so I'm unable to contest that. I haven't experienced it, but I've received similar concerns. You recall sometime last year, the authority had even intended to limit the service route of these minibuses to about 40 kilometers or so. It's still a matter that is still on the table being discussed. But yes, we have met 2M Express. In fact, 2M Express is owned by a former member of parliament, and he is such an advocate for road safety. And I recall his time at parliament, he was one of our strongest voice.
Okay.
And so we get worried when we have these reports. And we've gone to look at his systems. I'm not afraid to say that in terms of the infrastructure, the systems that he has put in place is by far one of the best you would expect. His IT deployment, his workshop training programs, and the rest of them. But it does appear that some of the drivers, when they get on the road, their behavior is quite the opposite. We've been very frontal with him, even though he's given evidence of drivers who've had to be punished on account of his own monitoring and what complaints he has received. We think that there's more to be done beyond what is being done.
Right.
We've had a discussion, and going forward, we hope that we'll see an improvement. But in the long term, the authority will look into those matters. Yes, whether we should restrict, it's not just 2M, but there's a streak of complaints that we receive on account of the behavior or conduct of minibus drivers on major highways. And when that time comes, maybe we'll come back to you to see whether we can get the support of the public. You want to take one step, but you're also careful on the repercussion, because on the typical Accra-Kumasi highway, question is, if you were to take down the minibuses, would we have enough long buses to be able to meet the demand? If yes, then maybe we should be in a hurry to look in that direction. Are there other controls that we may be able to deploy, such that even though there's a accessibility issue, we can still enforce and introduce some controls?
Right.
So we are looking at it holistically,
right.
And I think at the right time, we'll come back to the public on how we tend to deal with that.
We're always available. Metro TV's doors are always open to you. But that's lawyer Kwame Kodjia Ichahini. He is the Director, Regulation, Inspection and Compliance at the National Road Safety Authority. We'll have you again as you put your plans together, and then we'll see how it goes. But I think we can go on like that gradually and bring the numbers. Nobody wants to have... I wanted to ask you if you have a target. But I don't even one death is bad enough. So you can't really have a target of we want to reduce it. But I'm sure you probably will have targets.
Our target is to do better than last year, and
previous years.
We hope that we can get the support of not the authority alone, but we work very closely with a number of stakeholder institutions, the DVLA, the police, the guys responsible for the road infrastructure, the traffic lights, the street lights. Each one of us have a share of the burden. Right. And our expectation is that they will all come to the party so that when there is significant improvement, we can all take credit for it.
Thank you very much. Let's take a breather. When we come back, we will speak with the Adib Sani, who is a security analyst, on the updates and the happenings in Boko. We'll be back shortly. All right, you're welcome back. Let's now capture the statement from GIS, press statement on officer shot by unknown assailants. The Boko Sector Command of the Ghana Immigration Service has confirmed the attack and shooting of 3 immigration officers. The said officers were rushed to the Boko Presbyterian Hospital, where one of them was confirmed dead on arrival. The remaining 2 officers, I didn't get the last word, but the Boko Sector Command of the Ghana Immigration Service has confirmed. I think I've read this. Okay, so the remaining 2 are responding to treatment. Let's go to the next slide. The Ghana Immigration Service Management condemns the dastardly attack on no uncertain terms and wishes to assure all officers and men at the service will take necessary measures to ensure their safety. Meanwhile, a high-powered delegation is scheduled to visit the sector command to review the security situation in relation to the operation of immigration officers and in the command. The GIS and the Ghana Police Service and other agencies will collaborate with to investigate and find the culprits of the attack. The service wishes to assure the general public that its personnel are resolute and will continue to protect the borders against the infiltration of criminal elements. Let's now go on Zoom and join Adib Sani there, security analyst. Adib, thank you for your time. Good afternoon to you. So, Adib, can you hear me?
Okay, so
hello,
sorry.
Adib.
Okay, I think it's unmuted. Can you hear me?
You're right. I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Good afternoon to you. Well, it's good I'm having this conversation with you because we've come a long way when it comes to the Boko issues. Have we now seen that this is not an issue that can be left in the hands of residents of Boko alone?
No. Residents of Boko alone cannot solve this. And Annie, if you would recollect, we have said this over and over again on Good Evening Ghana and most of your programs. The Boko issue is multidimensional. It is much more complicated than we think, and it is becoming confusing by the day. And it needs all of us on board before we can make any meaningful progress towards resolving it once and for all. But here's the thing. It is metamorphosing. It is a dynamic conflict situation. So the way it was yesterday certainly would not be the way it is today. Now, the problem is there seems to be a consistent pattern of neutrals getting neutralized in Boko. What I mean by that is persons who are neither Kusasi nor Mamprusi are getting killed in Boko. Moshis are getting killed, houses, buses, etc. In fact, that evening, the immigration officers were fired on, a Fulani man was killed in his vehicle also, this Mahama Kambu, the yellow type of vehicle. He was killed. Okay? And the fear is, if care is not taken, the conflict has the potential of spreading and also widening in scope. By so saying, what I mean is, you might have the Bisas joining the bandwagon because they are getting killed. The Moshis joining, the Fulanis joining, the Hausas joining, the Dagumbes joining. And even when it was between Kusasi and Mamprusi alone, see how difficult it was. How much more have more ethnic groups joining the fray? And this has been happening for some time now. I think that most of those getting killed these days are persons who are neither Kusasi or Mamprusi. In essence, if you think you are a Dagomba or Ashanti or Ewe or Fanti, and so you have nothing to do with the violence because you even don't know much about it, and you are in Boku, you are not safe. You can get caught in the crossfire. So that is the disturbing phenomenon now. And the social media thing, we keep talking about it over and over again. And I must say, you see this government, no government in the history of Ghana has invested so much in our IT, cyber infrastructure like this government. But it looks like people just don't care. Go on social media and see the kind of things people are writing there. Threats that comes to pass. And I have a catalog, a number of cases. One of it, including a certain young man, I wouldn't want to mention the tribes, who had dreadlocks, who was being sought after by the other side. They published, and I saw the post the very first time it was published. We will hunt you down and we will kill you. And guess what? Few days after that, the guy was killed. Then there was another post about a recent national, so-called national security officer, I don't know whether it's true or not, who was killed in Buku, and his name is Fatao. He was also threatened on social media, we will hunt you down. And truly, he was hunted down. So when I hear people talking about early warning mechanisms, now the warnings are announcing to us, hey, this is what is coming. And nobody seems to be doing anything about it. So I've had sleepless nights over this issue. And I just hope there'll be better commitment going forward.
I mean, considering how I particularly have followed the issues of Boko, hoping that it's going to improve, because we have created a platform for them, in the sense that they have actually wished that the media will open up to them. And the likes of me, I think I don't shy away from that, and hoping that the more we talk about it, the more the heat is going to, calm down or go down. But from your expertise, you are the expert. What do you think? What intelligence are you picking on the ground that is pointing to the reason for which they are now involving other tribes that are neither Kusasis nor the other Mamprusis?
Yeah. Okay,
right?
So when the number is a plethora of reasons. Okay, one of it being if they suspect you are collaborating with the other side, that could put you, and not just only you, but your family in danger. One. Two, sometimes they accuse the security agents of taking sides. That is why we seriously discouraged either a Mamprusi or a Kusasi serving in any military or police capacity in the area, because we wouldn't want these issues to dilute the work of the security services. So if they feel that the security services are taking a side, like it was accused earlier this year, when one side accused the military of killing their people and all that, and I want that, hey, we need to be careful because they could be legitimate targets, okay? Three, what they do is they have informants, the two sides to the conflict, at lorry stations. They have informants all over the place, even in the streets, whether they are sellers, they are shopkeepers, whatever it is, who give them information about the movement of their enemies. So, for example, if you are seen boarding a vehicle from Bolga coming to Boku, or in Boku going to Bolga or anywhere, their informants would give them your name, the vehicle you are boarding, the make, the color, the number plate, where you are even seated. So what they do is, if you get to their territory,
Wow.
they either stop the vehicle, bring you out, and execute you, or you, even if you have nothing to do with what is going on, you pay the price for being at the wrong place at the wrong time, because they just spray bullets into the vehicle because they are looking for one person. They might end up, killing other people who are innocent in the vehicle. And that is why. So I think that the case of the immigration officers, I don't think, from the information I am picking up from the ground, was deliberate. I think it was a local intel gone wrong. What I mean by local intelligence, I'm not referring to state intelligence. I'm referring to the two parties, their intelligence. Maybe someone might have given them information about the movement of these persons, and they thought one of them or two or three of them could have been part of the other side.
What is the movement now? It's really tough. What is the movement in the area now? Do people still feel free to move about, and how is this going to affect the work of security agencies, like, for example, this immigration service men who have been shot, one dead already? Is that not really going to the release, the press release that we've had indicates that they are going to have, the best of security provision, but they had the best of security provision anyway before this happened.
Well, it is a difficult situation, I must say. There are some parts of the area security officers are very careful going, unless it is a well thought through operation that involves the galvanization of resources and manpower to go into that area. But on a normal day, the security agents are patrolling the main roads. That is why, Annie, they can exchange fire for 48 hours unabated, and nobody is able to do anything about it. People ask, are there no soldiers? Are there no police? They are there. But the nature of the whole thing also makes it asymmetric. Hit and run. So if you are after a target, you come, hit the target, and dissipate into thin air. All right, that is why it is very difficult for the security services to be able to maintain that law and order. And another thing has to do with, like I indicated, law and order. Because these days, when anyone gets killed, instead of his family go to the police station, they don't. What they do is to pick up a Kalashnikov, go look for the perpetrator. So it has become a pattern, more like a cycle of attacks, counter-attacks, reprisals that never ends.
Right.
So,
Adeb, my time is up. I'm sure I'm going to have a full time with you. We'll arrange for that, and then we'll do this again so that we can get into details of what exactly the intelligence you're picking on the ground. Thank you for your time for now. Thank you. Right, Adeb Sani is a security analyst there, giving us a brief breakdown of exactly what the picture really looks like in the area of Boko. So if you're traveling along those lines, I think there are sensitive issues that he is giving. Take note of that. With the information informants are giving, you can equally be in trouble. So let's see how that goes. We'll be back. This way, Good Afternoon Ghana will allow us to end. We'll be back with some more analysis of other issues. Thanks for watching.